Good morning. Welcome to our 40 and 40 series. And today is day 26. Kit Cummings here. So glad you tuned in. And we're going to keep this thing going. 40 sermons in 40 days. Today's Saturday. So I don't know if you sleep in a little bit, a little rainy outside. Good way to start today. Today, I'm going to talk about joy. I'm going to talk about joy in suffering. One of those scriptures that seems like impossible. There's certain scriptures that we know them well. Shoot, I preached them a lot of times in the past. I know them, I've memorized them. Shoot, I can do a lesson on it. But as far as practicing it, joy in suffering, I mean, do you have certain scriptures you look at and it's like, yeah, I know that's right because he says it, but it's not possible. But I want to ask you, like, has your house gotten weird yet? I mean, it's been a month. We're all packed in together. And mad respect for anybody that's going through this in isolation, quarantine by yourself. Man, I respect you, pray for you, admire you. Man, you're a soldier. I respect those that are packed in a house with a bunch of kids. Mad respect. You know, I admire you, pray for you. Amazing. You need to write a book. That's what you need to do. You can do a seminar. If you guys get through that really, really good, teach us how. Empty nesters, you know, has it gotten a little bit weird yet? You have a crazy wife like I do, doing weird dances. She does that all the time, not just in her quarantine. Singing funny, you know, I mean, hopefully you found your laughter. But it gets a little weird. It's almost like delirious. You got to have a creative way to get through this thing. So we have a pattern, and here's what's totally cool, or it could be a curse. It's up to you. You do something 40 days in a row, it becomes a habit. It is locked in. That's a good thing. It's a bad thing. It's a blessing or it's a curse. The things we do over the next 40 days, we're going to carry back out into the free world, is what I call it. We're going to carry our habits and we're going to have brand new ones. My question is, are you practicing and developing the habits which are going to become subconscious, second nature? They're going to serve you. And so, you know, we walk the dogs at 5:30, man. So we go on about an hour and a half, mile and a half walk with our dogs, Brave and Bella, and that's a little escape. You know, we have obviously a lot of cooking going on, and my wife's a chef. I'm lucky like that. So we have a different, you know, cuisine or theme for the night. You know, we have game nights some night. We have date nights a couple nights a week. We have movie nights. We have binge streaming video nights. We have deck nights. We have, you know, we just kind of trying to switch it up. And 7 o'clock, the phones are off. That's a strict rule. And no news. We can't talk about news, no talking about pandemic, no drama. It's our escape from 7 o'clock on. Hopefully you guys are experiencing some of that, and it's got to be a routine, but these are important habits that we're building. Happiness comes from outside, and we get the word from happenstance, okay? So what happens to me either makes me feel good or it makes me feel bad. All right, things that make me feel good, we judge as good. Things that make me feel unpleasant, we judge as bad. A lot of times we have those crisscross. You know, we look back, it's like things that we said were a curse because they were so painful, they were a blessing and they set us free, or they turned our course, or they made us change, or they drove us to God. So I mean, there's purpose in the pain. And we hate to say it, but pain is necessary. Without pain, we could never, ever grow and find out who we really are. That's when we get squeezed, we get stretched. And so there's necessity in pain. And when it comes, it's easy to curse it and just say, man, we're supposed to live life without pain. Well, that's not the case. So if we're always judging our lives by whether I'm happy, meaning things are going good, economy's good, market's good, money's good, job's good, marriage, kids, everybody doing good, my health is good, I'm happy. It's like, how are you doing, brother? I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? It's easy. And enjoy those times, man. I pray for them. Let's get them back. But it's times of suffering and trial where we find out who we are. Joy is an inside job. Nothing outside can give me joy. It's an inside job. It's a Holy Spirit job. It's to uncover all the junk and let my light shine job. It's joy in the pain. It's laughing through the storms. But that's hard to really grasp. And now, 30 days into this thing, if we're beaten down and getting kind of weary, which we talked about yesterday, great responses yesterday, 150 comments, whatever. Now it's like, man, can I really find that joy? Because a lot of things that makes us happy right now taken away. And so we're going to look at a scripture that is kind of hard to digest sometimes. And it comes out of James chapter 1. And the heading there that we've put in, we being those that put this thing together, trials and temptations, James says in verse 2, chapter 1, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Okay, so he goes through a growth process through pain. He says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. Okay, they're going to come in all shapes and sizes and packages. Circumstances in life, sometimes we bring on ourselves, sometimes we don't ask for it. Trials never ask permission, they show up when it's time. And so some are self-induced. A lot of times they're other people are doing things that cause us suffering. That's the most challenging one, in my opinion. And so here's the process. He says, consider it pure joy, because here's the process. We know that the testing of our faith is going to develop perseverance. All right, that's where, man, I don't quit when things get hard. If we don't develop that, and that's something we want our kids to do, push through the pain and keep on going. Athletes understand this. Once you've developed a strong inner core, persevering through pain and trial, perseverance has to finish its work so we become mature and complete and we don't lack anything. So, we understand this, that suffering is not a bad thing if it produces the desired response. When we work out, we suffer, we induce suffering on ourselves so we grow. All right, the same thing works mentally, emotionally, spiritually. What we test and what we, resist, we strengthen. Okay, so the trial comes, we learn to persevere. Perseverance makes us mature. Mature people can handle pain and they see the value in it. And then that perseverance, maturity, now you're complete. Man, you are the person that God created you to be. But man, we can't curse the suffering. We've got to really appreciate it. Growth process. So we're going to look at an example today. And it comes out of Acts chapter 16. Because the scripture itself is hard. It's hard to get our mind wrapped around. Yeah, right. I'm supposed to rejoice and find pure joy in my suffering. That makes no sense. But here we have Paul and Silas. They've been arrested again because they're preaching the word. You be a light in this, you be a light. You shine bright in this world. You're going to get some drama. There's going to be some haters. And so they get locked up again. They get flogged, beaten, thrown into the dungeon, into the hole, solitary confinement, and there's other guys around, so I guess it's not solitary, and their feet and their hands are in the blocks, dank, dungeon, stinky, it's bad. About midnight, the midnight hour, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once all the prison doors flew open and everybody's chains came loose. The jailer woke up, and when he saw the prison doors, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself because he thought the prisoners had escaped. But Paul shouted, "Don't harm yourself. We're all here." The jailer called for lights, rushed in, fell trembling before Paul and Silas. He then brought them out and asked, this is key, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" All right, this is powerful. You got Paul and Silas, and they're locked up. Now, most people have never been inside a prison. Hopefully, you've never gone in through the back door. I got locked up a few times when I was young, just from being a knucklehead, and that's why I love working with kids and helping them see that, man, the game has changed, but I was a knucklehead, and I can still be a knucklehead. But being in prisons, man, it's a fascinating place that few people ever see. And to see joy in suffering, I bet you anything, if you've watched prison shows, it's worse. If you've seen movies about prisons, it's worse. It's real. Hollywood can't even show a lot of the things that are, going on in there. And I get to be a witness, and I get to be a voice to say, you don't understand what's going on in there. God is present in those places. He's always going to be with the least of these. And the least of these, they're the last on the block. They're at the end of the line. The hated, feared, forgotten, the despised and lowly things of this world that God said he was going to use to shame the wise. And so that's why I promised them 10 years ago when I started this journey that I will not forget you and I will be your voice in the free world. I will live your dream until you can get out and do it with me. And a lot of those brothers have gotten out, and they're doing good things. So don't buy the lie that you hear about these guys are all guilty. They're not. That they're all evil. They're not. That they're all weak. They are not. And that then when they get out, they're just coming back. Many don't. It's an army God's raising up. So I've gotten to see this. All right, Paul and Silas, midnight, they have been severely, it doesn't just say beaten and flogged, severely. So we're talking about blood, lashes, bruises, beaten up. And it says they're praying. Okay, that's impressive. But a lot of people pray when they're hurting really bad. But it says they're singing hymns to God, and all the prisoners are listening. Can you imagine being locked up in that jail, and all of a sudden Paul and Silas come in, and they see how badly they've been beaten up, and then all of a sudden they start singing, and brothers start, hey, shut up, shut up, shut up. Hey, listen, hey, come here, man. And they start gathering around and listening to Paul and Silas singing their pain. I mean, I wonder what they were singing. I bet it was beautiful. But see, when we witness somebody suffer righteously, we see Jesus. When we see somebody suffer and act a fool, feel sorry for themselves, and it's all about me, play our sad story to the world and complain, justify, blame, rationalize, complain this way that we've learned to do suffering so that people feel for us. The way people feel for one another is when you see somebody suffer righteously. And there's so many brothers and sisters out there, I wish I could name them all, that suffer with a righteous attitude, and they've got a situation they did not ask for. Maybe they've been left by a spouse that went a different way. Maybe they've been crushed by kids that are in trouble. Maybe they have a physical, some sort of physical disability. It could be a mental disability. It could be an addiction. People that are suffering, and I see them find their joy. Oh my gosh, it inspires me. Because I got everything I want. I've been through some stuff. You have too. But man, I got my health. I got a beautiful, wonderful wife. My kids are doing good. I'm safe and warm. Got food in the thing. It's like, man, for me to complain, but I still do. I still do. And then we have Paul and Silas there singing songs, and all of a sudden God steps in and intervenes. Now this is powerful. I think when we find joy, which is an inside job, in our suffering, when things outside of us, the things that are happening, the happenstance, are not making me happy, and I'm tempted to judge it as a curse. Why are you doing this to me? I've served you all these years. That whole pity game, which I've played, a little tantrum we throw like a kid with God, and he lets us. But when we dig down and we let the suffering do its work, and it produces a strong perseverance, I never quit. No matter how bad it gets, I'll never quit. I'll die for him if need be. It's easy to say. But then the storm arrives and we get tested. And God says, let me see how you can handle it. Let's see how mature you are. I don't think he's mad at us. He's like, okay, this is it. Here we go. I'm going to try you. And now we're going to see, how mature are you? You've been singing, praying, preaching, studying, counseling, training, small groups, D times, doing the things, wearing the faith wear, doing all the things we do. And now the suffering comes, and it's like, all right, now God's going to test the quality of your work. And we're going to be seen. Okay, so right now, it's getting a little weird. We're starting to see ourselves. What if we had a camera in everybody's house, and we saw the weird little worlds of the quarantine, and we see how people are coping? Man, it'd be hilarious. That would be like a reality TV show for real. But it'd be sad. It'd be scary for some to see it. God sees it all day long and all night long. In the midnight hour, he sees how are you handling your suffering, man. That's when you see how close you really are to him. And so when we witness somebody suffer righteously, we say, ooh, I don't even know if I know that that looks like Jesus to me. And we're inspired because it's not just Jesus suffering. Of course, he's Jesus. He's perfect. But it's a human, frail, broken individual that finds joy in their pain. And now they get tough, mature. We need maturity in this world. We need maturity in Congress, man. We need maturity in our leaders. We need maturity in the husbands and the wives that are leading these kids. We need kids to go ahead and grow up, get a little mature. Suffering will do that. And then we're tested. And when joy comes out, I think God goes, yes, he's got it. Now I'm going to take him to the next level. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Let's try it again. Trials, rise above. But see, if you're saying, man, I am suffering horribly, if somebody sees us suffer like the world does, excuse me, then they're not inspired, and it makes us feel like it's okay for us to do it too. And then our models are people, and they're not the ones that are supposed to be. And so we see suffering, it changes us. I want to finish with my crazy story. You know how I like to do the story of the day on this crazy ride. Now, this would be crazy not to have a prison story in this one. So this comes from Michigan. And I did a lot of work in the prisons in Michigan. And I grew so close. About 2,000 brothers went through this program over 2 years. Violence dropped 50% in these prisons, especially this one tough prison in Muskegon, Michigan, Brooks Correctional. And my all-time rock star warden, Miss Mary, we saw miracles happen as more and more tough men, a lot of gangsters, affiliated guys, they came together and they started working together for peace and shaming the white. When Congress can't do it, but Crips and Bloods can, oh my gosh, it's powerful. And I get to witness it. That's the beauty of my ministry that God gave me, is I'm a knucklehead that gets to witness miracles behind the razor wire and then come out and blast it to the world. And maybe, just maybe, those brothers wearing blue with an orange stripe become role models. And can you imagine, you're feared, hated, forgotten. Nobody even sees you. They don't know you. They ain't coming to visit you anymore. They're not writing you. Nobody putting money on your books. You're starving. You're hated. It's an intense environment. And you find joy in your pain. If you can't be inspired by that, man, it convicts me. So when I miss the prison so bad right now, man, I want to go so bad and they won't let me in right now. And so why? Because I see joy that shines a lot brighter than a joy in a church. It's easy to be joyful in church, man. On the chain gang, you find joy, it's powerful. And people say it can't happen there. You can't show weakness. It's not true. So many things are not true. It's not the way it is. The way it is God is working behind that wire, and I get to see it. So we had about 200 guys go through this 40-week program, and it's called 40 Days to Peace. And you make peace with your rivals, and you start building a collaboration. It scares corrections. Don't get it twisted. It's like this goes against everything that the prison industrial complex in America has designed. It's a lock 'em down kind of system. And we come in and bring hope, which is dangerous, and joy, which is rare. And all of a sudden they start seeing miracles in a congregation. And it's not just Christian, gang. Muslims come in, Wiccans come in, atheists come in, gangs come in, the Christian brothers come in, and miracles happen. So we have a celebration at the end, and it's fun. We bring in free world food. They have chicken and mashed potatoes and black-eyed peas and green beans and cornbread and cake and pie, and it's stuff they never, ever get. And man, it is a party. We call it a gangster party. And we took a hip-hop crew in there sometimes, and we do a concert, and we party and just have a blast, dance and sing. And these rivals are now experiencing joy together. It's so much like Paul and Silas. They're singing, and the other brothers are listening. But imagine if a party broke out and it got so wild in there that you know what I'm trying to say, earthquake shook the bars, boom, and they all were released. Man, it's beautiful. So at this thing, I'll kind of wrap with this. I'm up on stage. I'm not, rapping or anything. I'm just up there doing my thing, having fun. Everybody's bouncing. Everybody's had a good full belly, and we're having fun. And all of a sudden in the back left corner is where all the Bloods would sit. Okay, we had gangs in different areas. They're all sitting with their heavy guys and the enforcers and blah, blah, blah. Well, there was a young group of Bloods, and they were hard to contain the whole time over the 8 weeks. It was like, man, it was energy. They weren't being bad, but sometimes they're right there, and other older convicts looking at them, doing the thing like, you better shut up. And so it's this interesting energy. Well, now at the graduation, they get their certificates. We're having our party. They've done something significant. And then all of a sudden, just the Bloods in the back, they rush the stage. So in the middle of the thing, there's no way to get anything to me. I mean, there's guards in the room, but I mean, not a lot of them. They got walkie-talkies, but they're running to me, and I'm thinking, why are they mad at me? I'm the peacemaker guy. And so the whole table, we're talking about, a dozen Bloods, are coming towards me, and I'm just like, it's one of those moments. And so they get to me, and I brace, and all of a sudden they pick me up, and they start throwing me around. And I'm like crowd surfing. It's like, throw the white guy around. And so everybody's laughing and cheering, and the warden is freaking out because she's like, this is probably not good correctional policy. And there was pure joy in incredible suffering. And the reason they had brought me there in the first place is because guys were getting cut from here to here. And you have a scar forever that says you're a snitch. They call it a joker, or $150 because 150 stitches. Sorry I tell you that. But that's what got me there. Fast forward a couple of months, and we're having a party where those same guys are now throwing around a volunteer. Tell me that doesn't scare commissioners. So, if those brothers, who are now my heroes, man, they show me how to suffer. I don't know how to suffer. Shoot, when somebody causes me suffering, I complain. You know, I might have a pity party sometimes. Why are you doing this to me? And here's these young guys that are finding joy in terrible suffering. Can you imitate them? Can they be role models for you today? In your home? Can you find your joy? Happiness ain't gonna do it today, gang. Find your joy. Let's dance a little bit. Let's be goofy a little bit. Let's play some games. Let's develop some habits gonna launch us out into the free world, like Paul and Silas, laughing in the storms and enjoying the pain. Man, I love y'all. Y'all are helping me out. Thank you for everybody that tunes in. If this helps you, gives you strength, please share it. We want everybody to have hope. And there's a link below. Just push it, subscribe. Let's build a community. 40 sermons in 40 days. You do anything for 40 days, you can't stop. So I don't know what I'm going to do on day 41. I'll probably be back. And afterwards, we're going to get us a big place here in Atlanta. We're going to bring this community together, and we are going to party. It might not be a gangster party. We're going to find some joy. Love y'all. Tomorrow, Sunday message, 10 a.m. See you there. Be the peace you wish to see in your household.